The rumors, the speculation, the studio silence, it's all finally starting to clear up. Amazon's live-action adaptation of the legendary God of War franchise has officially moved forward and is now deep in active development. At San Diego Comic-Con, Screen Rant sat down with the project's showrunner, industry veteran Ronald D. Moore, who opened up about his first steps working on the series, and confirmed that not only is the show alive, but it's moving full speed in the right direction. Moore admitted diving into the God of War universe has been a total eye-opener. Right now, the team is fully focused on building out the script, and he says the process has been incredibly fun and creatively rich. He was blown away by how deep the mythology goes, how tight the internal logic of the world is, and how layered the character relationships are. It caught him completely off guard in the best way possible. One of the key players in shaping the adaptation is God of War creative director Cory Barlog. As part of his prep, Moore met with Barlog personally and came away seriously impressed. According to Moore, Cory basically lives in this world. You could ask him something as specific as why Kratos made a certain choice, and he'd give you a detailed, hour-long explanation on the spot. That kind of insight makes Barlog an essential creative consultant on the show. Moore was upfront about the fact that he hadn't worked with video games before, so this is uncharted territory for him, but even so, he says the experience has turned out to be far more profound and exciting than he ever expected. From the looks of it, the series will be based on the 2018 soft reboot of God of War, where Kratos and Atreus take center stage. That game marked a major turning point for the franchise, shifting toward drama, introspection, and emotional depth. Like The Last of Us, the story leans heavily into character-driven moments over pure action, which makes it a perfect fit for a TV adaptation. Now sure, some fans might raise an eyebrow at the fact that Ronald D. Moore isn't a gamer himself, but what matters more here is his track record. Moore is a powerhouse in genre storytelling. He's been behind major projects like Star Trek, Outlander, and For All Mankind. His experience with big complex franchises and intricate lore makes him a pretty natural choice for something as ambitious as God of War. Right now, story details are being kept tightly under wraps, and Moore isn't ready to spill anything just yet. But one thing is clear, Amazon's aiming high. They're treating the source material with respect and going all in on quality. If things stay on track, we're not just getting another video game adaptation, we're looking at a full-blown television epic. Rumors about a God of War series first started swirling back in 2019. The early leaks came from reliable sources and quickly gained traction. Word was that Amazon, in partnership with Sony Pictures, was planning to adapt one of PlayStation's biggest franchises into a large-scale live-action show. The news spread fast across social media and gaming forums, and fans instantly split into two camps. Some were hyped. They believed that with the right creative team, the show could not only expand the God of War universe, but actually elevate it to new heights. Others were way more skeptical. To them, it looked like another studio trying to cash in on a popular IP without really understanding what made it special in the first place. The fear was it'd end up like so many other game-to-screen adaptations. Flashy, expensive, but ultimately hollow. To understand where that doubt came from, you've got to look at the timing. 6 years ago, video game adaptations were still struggling to earn respect, critically and commercially. The genre hadn't really proven itself yet, and people still remembered Warcraft, one of the most ambitious yet divisive attempts to bring a video game world to the big screen. But God of War is a completely different beast. Unlike Warcraft, which juggled multiple storylines and factions, God of War has a clear focus, a single, unmistakable figure. Kratos. He's not just the main character, he is the franchise. His journey is the story, and having such a bold, emotionally charged protagonist at the center is exactly what gives this adaptation real potential. Once the adaptation talks resurfaced, this time with official confirmation from the showrunner, the overall mood started to shift. The optimism grew, especially with the news that the series would be based not on the older games, but on the reboot, the Norse mythology arc. That's a huge win. The 2018 reboot and its sequel already have everything you'd want for prestige television: emotional storytelling, massive world building, rich mythological layers, and powerful themes like fatherhood, guilt, and redemption. It's basically a ready-made narrative foundation. Structure it right and you've got a tight 10-episode season with a strong pilot, a steady build-up, and a gut-punch emotional finale. Everything's already there. Complex characters, a deeply developed world, epic battles, and a thoughtful philosophical core. This is exactly the kind of material that thrives on streaming platforms. And let's not forget, Amazon's no stranger to big-budget fantasy. They've already poured serious money into the Rings of Power, so you can bet God of War won't be left hanging when it comes to budget or creative attention. Sure, there are still risks. It's going to need major funding. Casting will be a huge deal, and the visual style has to live up to the scale and tone of the games. But this project already has the essentials in place: a globally recognized brand, a massive and loyal fan base, and the potential to become a hit on a worldwide scale. Most importantly, God of War has already proven its storytelling power. This isn't just a game, it's a narrative experience that fans genuinely feel connected to. It's a story people want to live through alongside the characters, and if the studios play it smart and don't try to reinvent the wheel, this could easily become one of the best video game adaptations we've seen in years. At this point, it's almost certain the show will focus on the Norse saga. That means the Greek arc will probably be left off screen, at least for now, or touched on only briefly through flashbacks. Instead of the brutal, rage-fueled era of Kratos as a god of destruction, we'll be getting the more mature, emotionally complex version of the character that defined the recent games. And honestly, that's the right call. The Norse storyline marked a turning point for the franchise. The scale shifted, the tone evolved, and the genre itself matured. In his interview, Ronald D. Moore even said what drew him to the project was the chance to work with a world that's more intimate, yet packed with mythology and symbolism. According to him, the goal isn't just to retell the game, but to craft a story that stays true to the source while resonating with both longtime gamers and fans of serious mythic drama. Choosing the Norse era makes perfect sense. It's the version of God of War that's relevant right now, the one fans know and love. It's what brought the franchise back into the spotlight, earned it critical acclaim, and redefined Kratos not just as a symbol of rage, but as a full-on dramatic protagonist. Amazon and Sony probably aren't looking to gamble on more experimental settings like Egypt or the Aztec world, which have been floated before as possible future arcs. That's still too risky. Instead, it's a safer, smarter bet to build on what already works: the haunting beauty of Nordic fjords, the familiar characters, and the emotional weight that drives the latest chapters of Kratos' journey. The Greek era, with its chaotic mythology and violent battles, can still have a place, but it works better as backstory, flashes of memory, a haunting past that Kratos still carries with him every step of the way. According to some reports, Amazon is ready to drop around $170 million on Season 1 alone. That's roughly the same budget they spent on the Rings of Power's debut, and honestly, it tracks. God of War is going to require a massive investment. We're talking high-end visual effects, detailed set design, and most importantly, epic-scale battle sequences. This isn't the kind of project where you can cut corners and hope it looks good. Half measures here would feel like a failure right out of the gate. But the biggest topic, and probably the most debated, is casting, especially when it comes to Kratos. The studio has two main options. One, go with a major star whose name grabs instant attention and headlines. Or two, find a lesser-known actor who fits the role in spirit and presence, someone who can fully disappear into the character and capture the emotional weight that defines Kratos. That second option is what HBO leaned into with shows like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Most of the leads were classically trained British stage actors who were virtually unknown to mainstream audiences. And it worked. It let the audience fully sink into the story without being distracted by a famous face. God of War needs that same approach. Kratos isn't just a character, he's the emotional core of the entire story. If you throw someone like Dwayne Johnson or Dave Bautista into that role, no matter how talented they are, audiences will just see The Rock in body paint. It breaks the immersion. It undercuts the atmosphere that's so essential to making this world feel real. Perfect Kratos is someone fresh, undiscovered, but powerful. An actor with screen presence, emotional depth, and a face that doesn't carry the baggage of other franchises. That same logic should carry over to the rest of the cast, especially if the show sticks with the Norse saga. Roles like Odin, Baldur, Thor, and Freya need razor-sharp casting. This is where actors from shows like Vikings or The Last Kingdom could shine. Performers with the physicality, the charisma, and that raw, northern energy. Scandi actors, or at the very least performers who know how to work with mythological archetypes, are a goldmine. They don't just look the part, they carry the cultural weight that's hard to fake. But this can't turn into hype casting. Everything here has to serve the tone, the world, and the authenticity of the genre. Because at the end of the day, God of War shouldn't just be another flashy adaptation. It needs to stand as a narrative in its own right, with its own rhythm, structure, emotion, and pacing. It should have a tight script, fully developed character arcs, and a deep respect for the source material. And ideally, it'll be the kind of story that even non-gamers can get completely pulled into. And this brings us to one more key piece of the puzzle: Cory Barlog, the creative director behind the latest God of War games. His involvement in the show is still a bit of a mystery. At one point, he was actively championing the project, sharing updates, confirming he was directly involved. Then suddenly, he stepped back, saying the series was fully in Amazon's hands and he was just watching from the sidelines. A while later, he popped up again, talking about meetings with the new team and some encouraging progress. So, is he in or out? Or is this going to be one of those cases where his name is in the credits just for show, like Stephen King's executive producer label that's often more symbolic than hands-on? For now, we don't really know. It's still unclear how deeply he's involved behind the scenes. But even with all the backstage uncertainty and slow development, God of War still has massive potential. This isn't just another franchise, it's a global cultural force, with a fiercely loyal fan base around the world. Kratos' journey is dark, emotional, and deeply personal, all while playing out against a sweeping mythological backdrop. It gives the creators a huge sandbox for storytelling, world building, and cinematic spectacle. If Amazon plays their cards right, this could absolutely hit on the same level as Game of Thrones, in terms of both impact and scale. Sony clearly sees the bigger picture here too. They've already started building out a shared cinematic universe based on their PlayStation exclusives. We've already seen Uncharted with Tom Holland, the racing drama Gran Turismo, and of course The Last of Us. God of War is the next logical step. And coming down the pipeline, there's also a Horizon series in the works, plus an animated Ratchet & Clank movie. This isn't just a string of disconnected projects anymore. It's a strategic push. Sony isn't just adapting their games, they're building a whole content ecosystem around them. And within that plan, God of War isn't just another adaptation, it's a pillar, one of PlayStation's most iconic, decorated, and critically acclaimed properties. Sure, the production has taken its time, and yeah, things still feel a little uncertain, but all signs point to this show happening. And when it does, the pressure will be enormous. But if the creators can strike the right balance between action and emotion, spectacle and storytelling, loyalty to the source and creative vision, God of War might just be the series that finally breaks the video game adaptation curse. The one that not only lives up to the hype, but surpasses it.